So, today we're going to talk about going to the gym. And maybe not so much going to the gym, but exercising for sure. I want to touch points on it, say why I think it's honestly a necessity in most people's lives, and why you should do it, how you should do it. And yeah, it's one of the things I do because I believe it helps me out a lot. And I never want to get on here and talk about something that I don't know anything about. So as I have a whole list here of video ideas, and it's things I have ideas about, opinions on, and stuff I know a little bit about. Before we do this, though, I want to let you know that I uploaded my first video on the gaming YouTube channel at dthorn gaming. I'll put it in the description below along with all social media if you guys want to follow and check it out. It is a World of Warcraft video, represent. So if you're feeling a little nerdy or want something to just fall asleep to, I got you covered. Anywho, let's get into the video. So I went to the gym this morning, right? I think the best time to go is in the morning. Unfortunately, with my work schedule, it doesn't always work out that way. But it did today. Especially on weekends, it works out. So today was the first time I went in a couple weeks, maybe a month or so. And I go through these phases, right? I go, for maybe a month consistently, 5 days, 4 or 5 days out of the week. And then I drop off. I'll miss a day or two, and it's like, I don't want to go back after a day or two. I'll be crushed. I'll lose my gains, which doesn't really make sense because you're going to lose even more if you miss out a whole week, or I'm sorry, a whole month. But for some reason, that's how the thought process works. Put it off until you're just so disgusted with yourself you have to go back. Or maybe that's just me. I love going in the morning. It's usually more dead than it is after work. I prefer less people in there, obviously. Less wait times on machines. There's not as many people around looking at you. It's always better when less people are involved. I think that holds true for just about everything. The big thing that going in the morning does for me is sets the tone for the rest of my day. I get in there, I get my workout done, and then I just feel so much more motivated to come home and clean, do yard work, record. Honestly, I don't really need motivation to do this. I love doing it, but instead of on a normal day, I would go start doing my things, and it's like do one this here, this here, this here, this here, this here, that there. When I go to the gym, it's like boom, 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 boom. Everything just seems to fall in place more than just a regular day. Not only that, I think a big part of it is going to the gym and running a couple miles, doing some cardio, lifting some heavy things. That's the hardest thing you're going to do all day for most people. Yeah, I mean, what's making your bed or sweeping the floor, doing the dishes compared to strenuous effort on your body? I think that's a big part of it. I think another part of it is you're just happier. You get in there and you did something. You achieved something. You progressed and made yourself a little better. Now you're in a good mood. Instead of waking up, laying in bed for 3 hours, you're like, man, I need to do something, but I've been so lazy already today. Might as well just call this day a wash. I don't know about you guys, but that's how I feel when I have lazy days. And I go the whole day. It's even hard to enjoy it because I just regret that I was so lazy all day. But I mean, we still enjoy it. So, if possible, try to go first thing in the morning. It'll make your day, at work better. It'll make you more productive at home, whether you're living with your parents or you got your own place. I just think that helps a ton. Another point I wanted to touch on, I guess these would be the two main reasons to go, would be physical and mental health. Obviously, physical health is pretty evident. You go, you work out, you lose weight, you look better. You look good, you feel good, everything else falls in place, I think. losing weight is a topic that's kind of dicey. Everybody has these ideas about it, and there's all these diets. When you break down the science of it, and everybody's body is different. Some people have quicker metabolisms. Some people gain weight more. It really just depends. But at the end of the day, if you burn more calories than you usually do, and you eat less calories than you usually do, you're going to lose weight. Maybe not at the pace you desire, but you'll lose weight. That's a big part of why I do cardio in the morning. Lifting weights, you don't burn nearly as much calories as you do, nearly as many calories, as you do running. And I hate running with passion. I don't know if anybody really likes it except for those sociopaths. I'm just playing. But it's something that is a necessary evil, if you will. I would say cardio is one of the biggest necessary evils anywhere. Nobody likes doing it. But I eat like a pig. I love sweets, sugar, one of the most addictive things in the world, next to World of Warcraft. I love meat, bread, cheese, gravy, potatoes. I just had steak and potatoes with bacon and cheese for dinner. And I feel disgusting, but it was amazing. And yes, it completely washed out my run from this morning. But if I hadn't run this morning, I'd be, plus 1,000 calories instead of burning 400 calories on the treadmill, and now I'm only plus 600. It helps a little, It keeps me from being kind of chubby to, keeps me from being a monster. Because nobody wants that. You guys don't want to see me be a monster. I thought about changing my diet. That's something we'll have to get into. Thought about going vegan and doing all this stuff. I don't eat a lot of vegetables or fruits. I need to. I definitely need to. I've thought about doing like a real clean, pure fruits, nuts, vegetables only. I don't know. I'll have to look into that kind of thing. It really has piqued my interest because it would absolutely accelerate the gains you see through working out. And that's something I need to get into more as well. And I will. But also I hate vegetables. Food really can be an addiction. And I know it's not stupid. Addiction is not something you want to take lightly. But with all the sugar and processed crap that goes in our food, it's no wonder that a lot of people are overweight and don't stop eating. So that's where the gym comes in. It kind of curbs that for me. It's a change I need to make, and I will make. But the physical health aspect of it is pretty obvious, and it's a great reason to go to the gym. Another reason I think maybe that isn't as touched on as much, or maybe it's not as obvious, is mental health. Going to the gym really makes you feel better. When you work out, you release endorphins. Endorphins make you happy. That's science. Or something. I know when I was in a pretty crappy relationship. It wasn't healthy at all for either of us, and I got out of it, went back in, I got out of it, so on and so forth. Never do that, by the way. But when it ended, as much as it needed to end, it sucked. Nobody likes that. Relationships suck, for the record. If you're a younger viewer out there, don't get in one, man. Don't. It's hard to find somebody good out there that will treat you right. And for some people, it's even harder to treat that person right. So my advice would just be to focus on yourself for right now. But with that being in the past already, it was a sucky relationship. It ended. It sucked, and I worked out a ton. It was the only time I've ever in my life, other than playing football in college, when I went to the gym twice a day, and I had to, or I felt like I would go crazy. I mean, she was on my mind constantly, and that's not healthy at all. So one thing that would help take that off my mind is going to the gym. And I would run with no music in, because there was a lot of songs that made me think of her. no music, no nothing. I would just run. I would run for an hour. I would try to hit an hour every day, and I struggled the first couple of days, but eventually, an hour really wasn't that hard to hit. I would do that. I would work out, and I would go back later that night and run another hour. And I ended up being in great shape. But it wasn't a a holy grail. It wasn't a perfect fix. Things still sucked. I mean, this isn't going to cure all your problems. It will definitely, I think, expedite that. And I'm not saying I was depressed or anything. I don't want to ever say that I've been depressed, or I never want to take light of anybody that's actually been depressed. I was definitely sad, and things sucked. I mean, at the end of the day, no matter how many times I went to the gym, sometimes something would come up and remind me of her, and it would just make me sad. And that's just part of life. You're going to run into things that make you sad. And sometimes there's not going to be a fix for it. Sometimes you just have to be a little sad. That's okay. You're not okay, and that's okay. So long as you don't wallow and think, oh, I'm never going to be happy again, all this. You will be. Life's very long. Unless you go and get hit by a bus tomorrow, which I don't want to happen to anybody, except my ex. You'll be fine. That was one thing I really tried to keep in mind is, yeah, this sucks. And my mom, I talked to her about it, and she was all real cliche about time heals all wounds, this will pass. And it's like, yeah, I know that. I don't want to hear that right now. Sometimes you want to be miserable, but you still got to get out of bed. You still got to go to work. You have to continue functioning as a human being, or else you lose yourself because of someone else. And that's not what I ever want to happen. So I think going to the gym, exercising, just getting out and running, getting some fresh air is really helpful for that. Also being surrounded by people that love you and care about you, obviously another huge help. Probably the last part that I want to talk about is one of the greatest parts about going to the gym. I think part of happiness in general, and that's the question, right? What makes you happy? What is happiness? I would like to make my own video game someday. Kind of like World of Warcraft, but better. Impossible, right? It's not. And I watch all these, podcasts and listen to these different game developers. And one of the things that he said, and this totally applies to video game, but I think it also applies to real life, is here's what people enjoy, what they like, what makes them happy. Progression and building relationships. I think those are two huge things, and at the time I was, obviously applying them to in a video game sense, and I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But progression and achievements and building a relationship. Let's talk about these. When you go to the gym, every time you do something, whether you run for 10 minutes, if you didn't run for 10 minutes the day before, that's progression. It's even better if you do it the next day, the next day, the next day. Next week you go up to 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. That's progression. That's you getting better. That's a great thing to feel. I don't know if any of you have ever went through something like that. Anybody that's played sports and hit a PR in, track or weightlifting, if you've scored more points than the last game. Hell, if you've been in school and you got a better grade on a test or an exam than you did last week. That's progression. It feels good. Sometimes in college, that progression is masked by the huge load of stress and numbed by the alcohol. But it's progression. It feels great to better yourself. Achievement kind of goes hand in hand with progression. You set goals for yourself and you work towards them. And when you attain them, you feel great because it's a huge confidence boost to say, man, I couldn't do this before, and now I can. And the reason I can is because I worked on myself to do that. That feels flipping incredible. As far as the building relationship part goes, obviously you can meet people at the gym. I've met girls, guys, whatever. Not like that. Forget all that. But what I really was thinking about is you build a relationship with yourself when you go to the gym. You get in there, and that first week or so, you got to figure out what you can do. Sometimes it's not as much as you thought you could do, and you're like, "Ooh, that's pretty rough. I thought I could lift more than that. I thought I was in better shape than that." But it's okay because now you have a sense of what you can do physically, and now you can set goals. Now you can start achieving. Every time that you achieve that goal, you build a bond with yourself. You gain confidence in yourself. That'll translate to relationships with other people. That'll translate to your job, to your family, everything. You'll have more confidence in yourself. You'll know you can do things because you've done things that you said you were going to do. That's why, again, to touch on yesterday's video, this YouTube thing, and I'll be streaming on Twitch too, is lucrative, right? It's crazy to think that somebody could do it. But I'm going to. I know I am. I have to work towards it. I know it needs to be done. It will be done. And it will take time, but it will be done. Because I've exercised, I've set goals for myself, mental and physical goals, and I've achieved them, and I've achieved past them, and I know I can do it. There will be setbacks, there will be things that happen, but at the end of the day, we'll get where we want to be. And I know you will too. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Guess it would turn out a bit more motivational than I thought it would be. I just wanted to talk about how good I feel after it, and I really think more people should do it. So, if I could shamelessly plug, not that they care, but I go to Planet Fitness. They're pretty much everywhere. It's $10 a month at the cheapest. That's something just about anybody can afford. And they have tanning beds for all the ladies out there. Everything's simple. There's lots of out of shape people, so you don't have to worry about anything. Get out there and go do something. It feels really good to not lay in bed all morning and know that you've achieved something. And yes, it's hard at first, but it gets easier and you feel better the longer you do it. So, appreciate you watching. I'll link the gaming video down below as well as my social media. You guys have a good one. Later.